Hey again everybody, it's Chris, here with my first book haul of the year. I've got a whole bunch of stuff to open. Look at all that. Oh man. I'm really excited to open this. I've been waiting for a while for some of this stuff. Let's jump right into it. So I tried to get a nice variety of books. Some of these books are books I just found, and some of them are books I've been wanting to read for a while. My goal is to read more classics this year, while at the same time reading stuff that's coming out new. And I have some other reading goals as well that I'll get into in just a second. The first book on this pile is Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Jonathan Safran Foer. This book and Everything is Illuminated are two books that I've been really wanting to read by this author, because I think they're both movies, and I wanted to see both of the movies, but I also really like reading the book before I see a movie most of the time, and I've heard good things about the book. So here, I'll read what the back of the book says, if anyone is curious what the book is about. 9-year-old Oscar Schell has embarked on an urgent secret mission that will take him through the 5 boroughs of New York. His goal is to find the lock that matches a mysterious key that belonged to his father, who died in the World Trade Center on the morning of September 11th. This seemingly impossible task will bring Oscar into contact with survivors of all sorts on an exhilarating, affecting, often hilarious, and ultimately healing journey. So that sounds interesting. The second book on the pile is another book that I've been really wanting to read for a long time, and I really like this cover. It's nice. The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I honestly don't know what The Bell Jar is about, but I've heard a lot of really good things about Sylvia Plath, and I've heard a lot of really good things about this book. I'm really excited to read this. The next book on this pile is called We, and it's by Yevgeny Zemyatin. I don't really know how to pronounce that. It's a book from the 1920s, I believe. And you know how 1984 is like the inspiration for a lot of dystopian novels that are coming out now? Well, this is the book that inspired 1984. So I'm really excited to read this, and I think if you like dystopian novels, if you like 1984, and you like older books, then you should definitely read this. I'll read the back for you just so you get an idea of what it's about. Set in the 26th century AD, Zemyatin's masterpiece describes life in the regimented totalitarian society of one state, ruled over by the all-powerful benefactor. We is the archetype of the modern dystopia or anti-utopia, a great prose poem detailing the fate that might befall us all if we surrender our individual selves to some collective dream of technology and fail in the vigilance that is the price of freedom. That sounds really, really interesting, and I can't wait to read this. And it's really small, so it's not going to take very long to read. The third book is another book that I've been really, really wanting to read for a long time, but never got around to it, and that's Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I know a lot of people have read this already, but I'll go ahead and read the back again. Aldous Huxley's tour de force, Brave New World, is a darkly satiric version of a utopian future where humans are genetically bred and pharmaceutically anesthetized to passively serve a ruling order. A powerful work of speculative fiction that has enthralled and terrified readers for generations, it remains remarkably relevant to this day as both a warning to be heeded as we head into tomorrow and as thought-provoking, satisfying entertainment. And once again, the same thing as We and 1984, it's definitely supposed to be a huge inspiration to the type of books that people really like to read nowadays, so I definitely recommend you read this if you haven't yet. I'm really excited to read this one as well. The next book is the sequel to Damned by Chuck Palahniuk. It's called Doomed, and I read Damned a couple weeks ago. I talked about it a little bit in my introduction video. I mentioned that I didn't really like Damned as much as I thought I would, but I had already ordered this, so I'll read this anyway, just to see if it gets any better. The first one is about a girl who gets sent to hell when she dies, and just kind of dealing with being in hell. And like I said in the introduction video, it's kind of funny, but it was just okay. But like I said, I'll read this anyway. The next book is another book that I've really been wanting to read for a long time, but I never got around to it. Is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. And once again, it is another dystopian type of book that inspired all the dystopian books that we read nowadays. And it's one of those classics. It's one of those books that people consider a masterpiece. And I really like the cover a lot, and I really like the way it feels. And just like most of the books that I've gotten so far, it's not that long, so it won't take very long to read. And I'm really hoping it lives up to all the hype around it. I'll read the back again. Guy Montag is a fireman. His job is to destroy the most legal of commodities, the printed book, along with the houses in which they are hidden. Montag never questions the destruction and ruin his actions produce, returning each day to his bland life and wife, Mildred, who spends all day with her television family. But when he meets an eccentric young neighbor, Clarice, who introduces him to a past where people didn't live in fear, and to a present where one sees the world through the ideas and books instead of the mindless chatter of television, Montag begins to question everything he has ever known. And once again, that sounds really interesting, and I can't wait to read it. The next book that I have is actually a non-fiction book, and it is Escape from Camp 14 by Blaine Harden. This book is actually about this guy's story, and it's about how he escaped from one of the North Korean prison camps. And I'll go ahead and read the back once again. North Korea's political prison camps have existed twice as long as Stalin's gulags and 12 times as long as the Nazi concentration camps. These camps are clearly visible in satellite photos, yet North Korea's government denies they exist. No one born and raised in these camps is known to have escaped, no one, that is, except Shin Dong-hyuk. In Escape from Camp 14, veteran reporter Blaine Harden unlocks the secrets of the world's most repressive totalitarian state with the story of Shin's shocking imprisonment and his astounding getaway. A tale of endurance and courage, survival and hope, Harden's harrowing narrative exposes this hidden dystopia, focusing on an extraordinary young man who came of age inside one of the world's darkest nations. Now, I'm really excited to read this, like I've said about everything, but this one especially. I usually don't read nonfiction, but this just kind of caught my eye, and I'm really interested in hearing the story. And even without reading it yet, I can say you should definitely take a look at this. It's not that long, won't take very long to read, and yeah, check that out. The next book is another book that I've been really wanting to read for a long time. I took a writing class in college. Someone in that class actually told me that my writing style reminded them of Kurt Vonnegut, and I seriously doubt that I'm anywhere near as good as Kurt Vonnegut. I actually haven't read anything by Kurt Vonnegut. There's a lot of stuff that I want to read by him, and I decided to start with this book, SlaughterhouseFive. I really like the cover of this version. SlaughterhouseFive, an American classic, is one of the world's great anti-war books. Centering on the infamous firebombing of Dresden, Billy Pilgrim's odyssey through time reflects the mythic journey of our own fractured lives as we search for meaning in what we fear most. If you read any Kurt Vonnegut, if you read this book, if you read any of the books that I've showed you today, or that I'm about to open, please let me know what you thought about them. Let me know if there's any other works by the same authors that I should check out. The next book is massive. It is Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. Look at that, that's huge. I think it's over 1,000 pages. And I've read books this long before. I'm really excited to read this. I am a little bit nervous to start reading it. It's definitely a big time investment, but again, I'm really excited to read it. The reason I picked this up, there's actually a book by him that was written right before he committed suicide. It's considered to be unfinished. It's called The Pale King, and that sounds really interesting to me, and I want to read that at some point, but I thought I'd check out this book first, because this is like his big book. Set in an addict's halfway house and a tennis academy, and featuring one of the most endearingly screwed up families in contemporary fiction, Infinite Jest explores essential questions about what entertainment is and why it has come to dominate our lives, about how our desire for entertainment affects our need to connect with other people, and about what the pleasures we choose say about who we are. Equal parts philosophical quest and screwball comedy, Infinite Jest bends every rule of fiction without sacrificing for a moment its own entertainment value. It is an exuberant, uniquely American exploration of the passions that make us human, and one of those rare books that renew the idea of what a novel can do. I'm not sure when I'm going to start reading this one, since it's so big, but we'll see. The next book in here is probably the one that I'm the most excited about, because it's the one I've heard the most good things about, and from what I've read about it, it's right up my alley, and that is The House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. This is supposed to be a horror story, a love story, and a crazy, crazy mindfuck of lots of different things. Book within a book, and just story within a story, and I'm really excited to read this. There are so many interesting things going on in this book. As you can see, it looks so interesting and sounds so interesting, and I seriously can't wait to read this. This is probably the next thing I'm going to read after I finish reading Dr. Sleep by Stephen King. I'm not really sure how to explain what it's about because I haven't read it yet, but I'm definitely going to be doing a review of this at some point in the very near future as soon as I'm done reading it. The next book is Siddhartha by Herman Hesse. It's another classic that I've been wanting to read for a while. In the novel Siddhartha, a young man leaves his family for a contemplative life, then, restless, discards it for one of the flesh. He conceives a son, but bored and sickened by lust and greed, moves on again. Near despair, Siddhartha comes to a river where he hears a unique sound. This sound signals the true beginning of his life, the beginning of suffering, rejection, peace, and finally wisdom. It's very, very small. It won't be that long of a read, and I've heard great things about it. My light is running out, so I'm going to try to do this a little bit faster. There's a couple more books inside this box, but I'm going to wait a few minutes because they're all kind of the same type of thing, and I want to open some of this other stuff before I get to this. This next book is The Time Machine and the Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. I've been wanting to read H.G. Wells stuff for a long time, just like everything else that's in this. More classics, more things that people should definitely read when they're really into books. I mean, this is the type of stuff you have to read at some point in your life. The next book is just by an author that I've been really wanting to read for a long time. It's Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere. I read through all of the synopses of all of Gaiman's books, and this one sounded the most interesting to me, besides his newest book that just came out. But I wanted to read something of his older work before I read the new book, which I honestly can't remember the name of right off the top of my head, but I'm really excited to read this. Richard Mayhew is a young man with a good heart and an ordinary life, which is changed forever when he stops to help a girl he finds bleeding on a London sidewalk. His small act of kindness propels him into a world he never dreamed existed. There are people who fall through the cracks, and Richard has become one of them, and he must learn to survive in the city of shadows and darkness, monsters and saints, murderers and angels, if he is ever to return to the London that he knew. Neil Gaiman, I've heard so many good things about him, and I can't wait to delve into his work. Let's see. This next book goes along with the very first book I opened on here. It is Everything is Illuminated by Jonathan Safran Foer. Goes along with Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Like I said, both of these books are books that I really want to read because I really want to see the movies, and I've heard really good things about his writing. Now for the rest of the books in this box. The first one is Mythology by Edith Hamilton. Now the reason I got this and the other books that are left in this box is because I had this interest in mythology and religion. I'm not a religious person. I'm not Christian. I'm not anything really. I don't consider myself to be anything. I guess I'm agnostic. I just find stuff like this really interesting, like the things that humans look to and have faith in and believe and have come up with just really intrigues me a lot. And mythology specifically is something that I've really been wanting to read more about. The next one is I actually bought a copy of the Bible because I've never read the Bible before in its entirety. I've read some of the Old Testament and some of the New Testament. I've never read the entire thing all the way through. I obviously know the general idea of it. Like I said, I'm not Christian, and I'm not looking for something to believe in. I'm just really interested in trying to understand what other people believe in, and maybe even trying to understand why I don't necessarily believe in the things that are written in books like this, and in religions like this. The next two books are actually Buddhist books. There's this Buddhist scriptures book that is filled with a bunch of Buddhist texts, along with the separate, the Dhammapada. I'm not completely sure how to say that, but I'm really excited to read these. Buddhism is a religion that really interests me a lot, a belief system that really interests me a lot. Not that I want to become Buddhist, not that I think I'm going to have some revelation of something when I read all this stuff. It's just I really find ancient mythology and modern mythology really interesting, and I just want to be more informed on what these religions and belief systems are about. And the last book in here is The Satanic Bible by Anton Szandor Levy. I don't know, but it came up when I was looking for religious books, and I thought it would be funny to read. I'm not sure if this is exactly like what Satanists follow. I don't really know anything about this. I just thought it looked really interesting, and I thought I would give it a shot, just to add it to the pool of belief systems that I'm already going to be reading about. So that's it. I really hope you enjoyed watching this unboxing / book haul video. I really hope you saw something you might be interested in. Maybe you saw some things you've read before, and you can definitely tell me about what you thought about them. I'm really looking to hear as many opinions as I possibly can about everything. You can follow what I've been reading on Goodreads. I'll put a link in the description, and there's a link on my channel on YouTube. You can add me on there and just see which of the books I just pulled out that I'm reading right now. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys again real soon.